That is absolutely gorgeous.
So Mike and it's Mike and Mike. Mike and Mike on the mic.
Yeah.
So Mike, you saying you flew? This is the very first aircraft on your logbook. That is absolutely amazing.
Yep. No, we had in my day. I feel very old these days, but we had quite a backlog after training. We had to hang around a long time. Lots of refresher courses and things, but eventually I got a operational squadron, and it was 99 Squadron at Bryce Norton, and it was flying these aircraft. And this was the very aircraft that I flew first.
And this aircraft had like quite a history as well, hasn't it? It got transferred from the RAF to an African airline or something, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean I think it went down to the South America for a while.
Did it? South America?
Yeah, Caribbean.
Yeah.
But then, yes, you're right. It ended up in South Africa.
Did it?
And of course, like lots of other Britannias operated by some of these airlines, it's the spares that get them in the end. They just haven't got the spares to keep flying them.
Yeah.
So it then became a question of how we would get this aircraft back, because they were happy to give us the aircraft when they couldn't fly it anymore. And we had to have an engine flown down. I think British Airways courteously did that for us at probably a good rate.
This flew into Campbell as well, didn't it?
It did in 97.
97. Apparently, when it was flown in, it was loaded full of parts as well.
I'm told when it flew in here, it had 4 serviceable engines, and it had some navigation equipment that worked, but pretty much everything else was unserviceable.
Really?
So, yes. So I think it was probably destined not to fly for too much longer.
So when you flew this, what was the role of it?
It's a strategic transport aircraft.
Right.
I mean, it was basically a replacement for BA's predecessor, British Overseas Aircraft Corporation, BOAC, to get rid of all their piston-engined aircraft and get across the Atlantic in one and not have to do all these short stops everywhere. So they needed a strategic transport aircraft, which they got in the mid-50s. And the Air Force then decided, post-Empire, this was just the strategic aircraft they needed. And they bought 23 of them. So we got ours a bit later in 1959 and 1960.
And how many years, how long did you fly this for?
I flew this for 5 years, so I did 3 years as a co-pilot and then 2 years as a captain. So.
And then did you get moved on to another aircraft, or did this just get phased out? And
well,
something
it got phased out, and we were all waiting around for jobs. Gardening tours and things while they'd sorted it all out. Yeah. But I was actually quite lucky, because I got an exchange tour with the Americans and ended up flying the C-141 Starlifter in South Carolina. Charleston Air Force
that's quite
Base.
an upgrade, really, from this, isn't it?
It was a big upgrade. I suddenly found myself not flying at 24,000 feet, but up at 39,000 feet. So. Yes, it was a bit different.
That's cool. And then you came back and you said to me that you went on the Hercs after that.
Yes. I came back on promotion, actually, so I was quite lucky again. And I went on to the Hercules at that stage as a flight commander. And that was a slightly different role, because obviously it was doing very similar work. But there was also the tactical aspect too. So we did a course to fly low level and dispatch paratroopers and all this sort of stuff. So one minute you'd be doing a sort of a Caribbean flight or across to America, and the next you'd be on Salisbury Plain throwing out people from 5 Airborne Brigade. Yeah, I have to say, when I was flying low level, I never had any problem with refusals from the parachutists. They couldn't get out fast enough. It wasn't a very nice plane to be in at low level, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're quite noisy as well, aren't they?
Yes, but no, they were good times, good flight times.
What was your favourite out of all of them?
Well, I have a real affection for the Britannia, because it was the first aircraft I flew. And for a young pilot, to suddenly find yourself flying families and children around the world, I mean, it was quite a responsibility. Really.
Yeah.
But so the Britannia is right up there. But I think Yes, I think the Starlifter was probably Starlifter was basically a Hercules on jet engines,
Yeah.
so it did the same sort of thing. I did tactical work out in the States with a Starlifter, except they had much bigger drop zones. They had many more troops that you used to throw out, but it was a lovely aircraft to fly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And when you first started learning, when you first got into the RAF, what's the progression? So what would you have started on to get to this point?
Well, I actually did a flying scholarship. The Air Force gave me a flying scholarship before I joined. So I didn't get quite as much chipmunk time when I joined the Air Force, but I think I had about 10 hours on the chipmunk at Cranwell, RAF Cranwell. And then you progressed on to do about 160 hours on the Jet Provost.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that course, you got your wings, and then you go on to advanced training, and in my case that was the varsity at RAF Oakington, twin engine propeller aircraft. And yes, there's a bit of a holding, as I said earlier on, but after that I suddenly found myself on this aircraft. So I was very pleased, very pleased.
I always wanted to get inside a Jet Provost. What was that like? Was that fun?
It was a nice plane to fly. I mean, it was side by side.
They're supposed to be quite easy to fly, aren't they?
Yes, I mean it didn't have many nasty aspects to it at all. I used to get a bit airsick, which I got over eventually. But no, it was nice. I enjoyed doing the tail chases and the aerobatics and a bit of formation.
Yeah.
But it was a very nice plane to fly. Yeah.
Did they ever do the old trick on you when you got airsick? So I don't know if this was a thing or not, but they did this with me, and it's obviously complete BS. But they, I used to get airsick when I went up in the Chipmunk when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And the guy said, right, well, we'll put a newspaper underneath your seat, and that stops the static going through you.
I never heard that one.
Right,
No.
and he said that will stop you being sick, and I was like, oh, okay. Went up and I wasn't sick, and he said, see, it worked. So I was
Well,
like,
there you go. Well, there's a lot of it in the mind.
I think a lot of it is in the mind, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, they set me up. I think it was RAF Church Fenton, and we had a black box there that was, you were in the dark and you were rotated in all the axes. It did help a bit, but I came back and I was never 100% cured, but it became better.
Yeah. Yes. It's nice to know that even a seasoned pilot like yourself gets airsick. Got airsick.
Put me in a boat and I'm even worse.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for coming onto camera and sharing that with us.
As the only remaining airworthy Britannia today, this aircraft made history as it landed at RAF Campbell.
Just doing it, whether it's coming for a flight pass or straight down, I should imagine a flight pass. What a glorious sight. Once I get height, that is absolutely gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. If I get carried away filming, could there's any cars come, could you stop them? All four engines are firing. Sounds really good. Still haven't got...
right position here.
No, he's never had the undercarriage down. He's just done the fly pass. He'll straighten up now. They'd like to do a couple of fly passes just to get used to the actual runway approach.
Yeah.
He still hasn't got his undercarriage down yet, see?
Well, it's good to see you again.
He's doing a slower right-hand turn now. Just going over across the ATC. It's a beautiful shot, the ATC and the Bristol Britannia. Undercarriage is now down. Doing his finals, he's coming in on his final now. Lining himself up with 2.7. Straightening himself out. Somebody could stop this vehicle. Oh, he's stopping. Lining himself down. Just come over to Kemble Woods. We just missed the actual, oh, bearing down on one of the, and we have touchdown. Bristol Britannia has touchdown at Kemble, RAF Kemble. Shutting down to
1322.
1322. Taxiing into G site.